Welcome to another edition of the Destinations Podcast. I'm your host, Doni Aldine, and today we have a fantastic guest, a former columnist for Cultures. Actually, her work will be featured in the print magazines and on the website for a number of issues up until and through summer. Plus, she has so many articles. Gosh, I feel like maybe 50. We'll ask her in a second. Articles on the website that have been in many of the issues throughout the last 5 years. So, Andrea Bazoin is her name, and she's very multicultural. She is Chilean, Nebraskan, and has a little bit of French going on in there. We'll let you tell you about it. So, without further delay and ado. One of the two. Hello, Andrea. Nice to see you.
Nice to see you too, my friend.
How are you?
I'm great. Always happy to be here.
Great. Well, I'm super excited to have you here. And what's great is Andrea has been covering the Cannes Lions in the south of France on the French Riviera for the last, it's been 3 years, right?
2 years.
Only 2?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
We packed it in.
Okay, yes, we did. We packed a lot in. So every year we get to go to Cannes on the French Riviera and go to the Lions, which is like the Oscars for marketing and advertising. It is massive. It takes over the Croisette, which is the main drag in Cannes, France. And I've been to the Cannes Film Festival, and it's interesting because Spike Lee was on the cover of our fall 2023 edition. And of course, he's a filmmaker. And he said, you guys have the Lions. He was creative of the year, okay? In 2023, they awarded him. He said, you all have the Lions, but there's nothing like the Cannes Film Festival. And I was a little bit shocked because I felt like the Lions was so massive compared to the film festival. Now, the one thing that is different is the Cannes Film Festival, the entire Croisette is closed. Like, they shut everything down. Everything's about that red carpet. It's about everybody coming in. But for the Lions takes over the Croisette. So you haven't been to the film festival, but what was your thought about the Lions before we jump into what you'll be talking about today?
Well, first year, because I had never been to Cannes, I'd never been to the festival, I'd never been to anything even close to that. Marketing is not my field, so I was just like this pretty much the whole time.
I think everybody's like that, even if you're in marketing.
I'll never forget my first, walk down Yacht Road, right, where there's just yacht, and then,
yes.
interviewing Michelle Williams on a yacht, and then calling my husband back home and be like, just a day, which is what I did.
Lunch with oh my gosh, I just went blank. We just talked about her in another segment from Blackish. Tracy Ellis Ross.
Oh, right. Yeah, no biggie,
You know what, Ryan, oh gosh, from
I know, I am blanking too.
Ryan, what's his last name? I can't remember. We'll put it on the screen. So you get to do all those things, but then there's a lot of groundbreaking work in the field and also really good topics for the world, which you covered 3 of those things that I think are very important topics and subjects, not just for our multicultural community, but globally.
Right.
So that's what we're going to talk about today.
Right.
Those topics and what they meant to you, why you chose to cover them, and a little bit about each. So
sure.
Let's start maybe with Halle Berry.
Sure. Well, to piggyback on what you're just saying, I think that, if I remember back to my first Cannes Lion, I had it in my head that marketing was somehow predatorial. And that goes back to my, this was in my 20s. I used to give a talk on body image and the media. And so part of that talk for young girls, it was for middle school aged girls, was saying, you have to be conscientious of the message that's trying to be sent to you. It's not neutral. There is an agenda, and you have to know what that's about and be media literate. And that was kind of early on in that conversation of media literacy. Now it's something that everyone talks about, but that was early. And so going to this festival, I still had it in my head that, you're just trying to sell me something, right? Like, that's not, I'm always going to be skeptical. What's your agenda? What are you trying to sell me? What blew me away the first festival, and indeed the second, is that so much of marketing is just about bringing people on to particular information. And it's not always about selling something. Sometimes it's about selling an idea. So not necessarily a product or just consumerism, which is what I thought, or even selling insecurity. Sometimes it's selling an important message. So Halle Berry, we know her as an incredible actor. For years and years, but she is, in her words, I am solidly menopausal. So she's really owning it and claiming it. So back in 2018, she created a company called Respin, and Respin was meant to be a health and wellness company to celebrate and highlight the beauty of the aging woman, because as an actor, Hollywood is not necessarily kind to the aging actress, right? You've got the silver fox of George Clooney, but then everyone else is just old, right? And
except for us,
of course. Oh yeah, we're good. We're aging so ever gracefully. I feel it. I honestly, I'm joking, tongue in cheek, but I do feel. As I am a middle-aged woman now, newly middle-aged, I'm feeling this.
It's funny that you say that, though, because you're so much younger than me, and I'm like, you're not middle-aged. Anyway, go ahead.
I don't know. Well,
I guess when you double it, yes, because you'll probably be dead by that double number, right?
Maybe, or maybe not. But I think I really resonate with Halle Berry is trying to say, because we have been fed this steady diet of glorifying youth for so long in the media. A lot has changed in magazines and film and everything over the last even decade. But I feel like youth is still so celebrated. So, I personally am celebrating that I get to age. It's such a privilege. And so it is a privilege. I think what Halle Berry is doing is incredible. So Respin is really the impetus was celebrating the aging Hollywood actress. But when she encountered her own journey with menopause and realized that people aren't talking about it, women are still feeling that it is somehow shameful or embarrassing in some way. And men certainly are not, necessarily talking about it. She just didn't find resources. So she said, I love what she said. She said, what Dr. Dre did for Beats headphones, I want to do for menopause. She said, wow. I want Respin to be the superhighway of menopause, which I thought was like, she's trying to make it so accessible and real. And in fact, a little cool maybe, right? Because it's not all bad. There's great things that come with it.
Lots of great things, like the beautiful hair.
That's right. Oh, that's right. My natural highlights. I just watched a YouTube video of some 20-year-old getting the grandma look.
Oh, is that what it's called?
It was
I know they're trying to get the grad. I didn't know they were calling it the grandma.
Well, I don't know. It was fascinating. So, I got mine for free. Thank you very much. So, it was really great. So I was able to see Halle Berry talk about Respin at the Cannes Lion Festival. And it's wonderful to just see a woman standing in her power and in her pride as a beacon for what it means to not only age gracefully, but with some strength and with some wisdom, some hard-earned wisdom.
Well, and the thing I love about it, of course, this is the Destinations podcast. It's for cultures and for the cultural in-between. So I love that Halle Berry, because as we know, she's a mixed-race woman. There is, whenever you talk about health, there's a different kind of accessibility for different kinds of people. So it's really exceptional that she is putting this company forward, because just because of who she is, she'll be thinking of those other angles, right? Which, I mean, it's just normal, right? And I say that not tongue in cheek, because I know for some people, they may shy away from it if there's a little bit of self-hatred or whatever the case may be. But when we look at majority culture, it's just normal. And for Halle Berry, I know that she embraces all of who she is. So it's just going to be normal to have this accessible to a number of people. That to me is really incredible. And it's a great way to bring together what we do at the Lions with what we do for the world, to try to bring the marginalized of the marginalized, bring information, bring health, bring people who understand what you're going through and can give you information that's helpful. So I love that conversation. Absolutely. more so even than the menopause talk.
Right. Yes. Well, her mother's from England. And her father's African American. And I saw a picture of her on the red carpet with her mother. And, it's, of course, with any mixed race person, like you look at their faces and at first you say, oh, are they? And then you look closer like, oh, yeah, I see her mother's eyes. Or
I think you look closer and I look closer. I actually had a friend. Here's the reason I say it that way. I had a friend say this to me. Oh, she is blonde from the United States and her husband was Japanese and the kids look Japanese. And I saw her 2 daughters with her. I said, oh my gosh, they look exactly like you. And I mean, they're my age. Her jaw was on the floor. She said, no one has ever said that to me. And so that's why I say it in that manner, that you think that way, I think that way. I mean, I see the features right away. But many people, they just look at a skin tone or a certain feature and they go, that's not your kid.
Mm-hmm. You're so right.
Can't possibly be.
You are so right. Yeah.
So anyway, I think that's wonderful. Excellent, excellent. And so the next initiative that you were part of or that you covered from Cannes?
Yeah, so this was Tiffany Haddish, who is hilarious. We all love her in her films and stand-up comedy. She's so great, so real, so raw. She was on a panel about the topic of welltainment. So the idea of educating people on wellness topics or health topics using entertainment and media. And the reason she was on the panel is because she is trying to raise $25 million to open a grocery store in the Crenshaw neighborhood of South Central Los Angeles, which is where she grew up, which is, one of the many, many food deserts in our country, at least in the United States, where, you can be in a huge city and the only food that's available is by gas stations or, just not high quality food at all. And she said, I was raised by the TV. She said, I was babysat by the TV, she said. And she was just so real. I loved her. And learned a lot about life and health and important topics through TV commercials and things like that. So she recalled watching all these pharmaceutical commercials and things like that. But then she started learning more about, as an adult, started learning more about alternative medications or just the food she ate mattered and diabetes and things like that, and looked back at her community and thought, this is not right. A lot of these health issues are solved by just having better food access and education about that food. So diaspora groceries is what she wants to call it, which is so cool. The idea is that you walk in and not only is it a grocery store where there's lots of healthy food available, but there would be QR codes by each item and you could scan it and learn about that food item, what it does to your body, how to prepare it. So just the education piece that would go with it, and including financial education. That's also a topic she cares about. But she's using her platform and her notoriety to do something for her community in a way that, she's learned. She shared with the audience that she has endometriosis. Which a lot of people have and not necessarily talk about, can be very painful, and learned that a lot of food can be helpful. Just her overall diet. She just started learning about her diet, and it was wonderful to watch her on stage coming alive, talking about all the things she had learned just about food. And, I think it was one of those things, she pulled a thread and suddenly all this information came, and she wants to share that with her community. So she may be, funny as hell, but she's also trying to make a difference.
Which is awesome. I remember when we were there and talking about the QR codes, and I think they also want to try to find a way to make that accessible, because in some of these places that there are food deserts, people may not have the type of phone where you can scan. It's interesting. I think back to, what was it, 2013, when we were in Africa for the first issue of the magazine. And now what most people don't know is a lot of technology comes from the East and it comes West. I mean, so when I go to Asia, when I go to Africa, even people in a farm in the middle of nowhere will have better technology. And then I come back to the United States and I was like, why don't we have this yet? We were on safari in Tanzania last year. The best internet I've ever had in the world was in the Serengeti, in the middle of the desert, like in a car. And we were like, what? One of our troop her husband said, how you're lying, you're not there. How are you getting this great coverage? And I bring that up because, in remote places like that, in a farm in the middle of a little village in Africa, you can use your phone that's how you pay each other for things, right? Yet in a food desert in the United States, you may not have the technology to scan a QR code. So I really thought that was great that they'll be thinking that through as well, because that's important for communities that may not have access. So excellent.
Thank you.
All right. And then the third one.
Yes, the third one. So Patricia Corsi. So she is with Bayer. She's the chief marketing, digital and information officer, if I have her title correct. She was fascinating to me because she was on a panel at the Female Quotient. They have their lounge, their equality lounge, and or equity lounge. I hope I said that right. Equity lounge, yes. So she was on a panel there and wearing just like a V-neck t-shirt and some shorts, nothing fancy. And here she is. She's a 14-time Cannes Lion award winner, among many other platforms. She's won so many awards and is just so passionate about, again, the idea that marketing is a tool for good. Marketing can be a tool for education, for changing minds, for really paradigm shifting. So 2 campaigns she and her team, she'll be quick to say, her team and was involved with was, the first was called, oh goodness. See, all I can think about is vagina. It's not the vagina monologues. It was a vagina. It was basically, so forgive me for forgetting the name of the campaign, but essentially she did a campaign in Brazil, she and her team. So in Brazil, they have abstinence-only sex education. And that, in fact, creates really negative health outcomes for women because they are culturally not afraid to even say the word, right? To say the different body parts. And so you can imagine it's hard to talk about things that might be going on with your body if you're not even able and feel free to say vagina, feel free to say these words, right? And for Patricia Corsi, she's on the stage talking about these things unabashedly, which was wonderful to see. And so this particular campaign used TikTok and really tongue-in-cheek messaging, really funny, like an kind of a well-tamed entertainment campaign to answer some really common questions for women and girls on the topic of their bodies. And so that was award-winning campaign. And the other one that was fascinating, she did a campaign for Bayer, and the campaign was for Claritin. And, Claritin is the anti-allergy medication. What we found is that since 1945, at least in the United States, city planners have been advised to only plant male trees. Yes, because male trees, they're just cleaner in the sense that they don't drop fruit or seeds. However, they spew pollen. A lot of freaking pollen, people. Right? Right? So, yeah, you might not have and also now you don't have the fruit and the nuts and the seeds that we could actually utilize, right? People could, there might be a little bit of mess to clean up if there's surplus, but also, you could just walk by a tree and get some fruit. That'd be pretty cool. Can't do that now because city planners have planted all male trees. Well, the problem is not only do male trees, are they the ones that spew the pollen, female trees absorb it. And it's predicted that in the next century, pollen counts are going to go up by 200%. So it's a huge problem for so many people. They have hay fever and all these seasonal allergies. Right. It's a little surprising and interesting that Claritin is the one saying, hey, we need to plant more female trees. But, in some ways you could think, well, that would reduce the amount of Claritin people might need. But it sort of shows that, by being at the forefront of this issue that they actually care giving the perception that they care.
From a business standpoint, it's pretty smart because there are a number of other allergy medications out there.
Right.
So people who need allergy medication will still need it, but why don't you choose the brand who actually cares about you?
Exactly.
I'm sure that's what they're thinking.
And not only that, but within the campaign, they ran out, but they actually donated a cache of trees. I don't remember the exact number, but you could go to the website and request trees. That you could actually plant. So just an issue that I would have never thought about. So I thought, that's interesting. There'll be a lot of feminist arborists out there.
Feminist arborists. And that campaign won an award.
Yes.
I'm trying to remember which one, but yeah, I think one of the big ones.
Mm-hmm.
It was a very good campaign.
Very good campaign.
Very educational. And so it's interesting. You look at the thread of these three things, and they're all topics that we don't necessarily think about. I mean, who knows that there's a male or a female tree, right?
Right.
There's so many things that, there's so many industries, there's so many health concerns, so many things that aren't part of our radar. And like you said, marketing allows us to get that information. Marketing and PR, advertising allows us to get that information out into the world.
Yeah, it sure does. It really changed my whole paradigm about what marketing can do. So
Fantastic.
much respect to marketers out there.
Well, thank you for being here. I said that you would say more about your French, Chilean, Nebraskan.
My husband's from France. That's the connection. My husband's from France. We spend every summer there, and now I have a cross-cultural son.
You have a TCK son.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
You have a third culture
yes,
kid
correct.
son.
True.
Absolutely. So you have the tools to navigate that. And he is absolutely fantastic. Thank you for being here.
Thank you, Johnny.
Always a pleasure. And
me as well.
I look forward to the next.